Watch Tranzeet TV right now.
Miar mo na ultimo comentario uno. Keep watching Transit TV and stay more for premium content. Otra vez, adios.
That Mo Salah is very, very key to what Liverpool. They have to find a way to keep him fit and have him on form, and get him focused. Unfortunately, in the last season of his contract, I don't know what they're going to do. He had a very, very tempting offer from Saudi Arabia last summer ago. So. Tranzeet TV, welcome back again. Another weekend of EPL round of games, week 11. Yes, some good results, some bad ones, expected, non-expected, exciting games came and gone, and we have our results. I'm here in the studio with Victor to look at some of the talking points in some of these games and teams especially. And Victor, good to have you back in the studio.
Yeah, it's great to be here on our EPL review. A lot of interesting results in the Premier League, and we'll be dissecting them as the show goes on.
Quickly, Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 2 at home, and Fulham going away to win Crystal Palace 2-0. ESR continuing his goal-scoring form and assists. Victor, what have you made about ESR, Emile Smith Rowe going to Fulham, and should Arsenal be regretting letting him go now, considering what's going on with Arsenal in the past few weeks? They've been struggling to score goals. Just managed to get a draw against Chelsea yesterday, and the ESR is out there in Fulham, another London team, doing business, what they are struggling to do in Arsenal.
Well, Emile Smith Rowe has not been consistent with Fulham, but he has had a good time out so far this season. And the reason why Arsenal let him go is because of, he was underperforming at Arsenal. And so I don't know whether I'll say they'll be regretting, because they had a valid reason. And sometimes you have to let these players go and maybe they will improve. We've seen that with Ademola Lookman. He left so many clubs and then found himself at Atalanta. So, yes, if they let him stay, he could have, helped the team, especially in the midfield area where they've had a lot of issues so far this season. But good one from Emile Smith Rowe and Fulham. Fulham has been quite superb this season. Not just Emile Smith Rowe. Our very own Nigerian duo, Alex Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, have been delivering consistently for Fulham so far this season. We'll see how far that goes. For me, they are a side that you have to be wary of, whenever you have them, against each other.
Yeah, currently it's just 1 point below Arsenal, 18 points, 7th on the table. They're not doing badly at all. Though it's been a long time coming for people who have been following Fulham fans out there. I don't think they will be very surprised for what they're doing this season. Silva has really been coached. They have been one of the best well-coached teams in EPL. It's just that because of their side and quality of player that they've had, sometimes they struggle to get results. But I think this season, what he has been doing for that team is beginning to come to the fore. So I'm not completely surprised against Fulham. As an Arsenal fan, each time Arsenal is playing Fulham, and it's not a game that I always, right. Yeah, they've always been a tough game. If you don't forget that they should have beaten Manchester City as well. Only if Adama Traore was serious that day with goal scoring, City would have lost that game. And so, yeah, I don't think anyone should be very surprised about what Fulham is doing currently. Next game of the weekend, on Saturday, was Brighton winning City, coming from one goal down from behind and winning City at home 2-1. Again, not a very surprising result, but for the fact that City are really struggling this time around, is making a talking point. This is their 4th game losing streak on all competitions, second one consecutively in the EPL league. Brighton are a team that they have quality. On their day they can beat anybody. But again, you can't bank on them to win anybody. So, I don't know, Victor, what did you make of that game?
Yeah, it's the reactions after the game for me. A lot of people were saying, is it time to panic yet? Is it time to say Pep is out? For me, I expected that result because Brighton are no pushovers this season. They've had a fantastic record They are currently sixth on the log. Before that game, they were still around, the top four area. A couple of match days ago, they were also in the top four. So Brighton have been, having a good ride so far this season. And when I saw that Man City were playing Brighton, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it's not going to be easy. Even when Manchester City went a goal ahead, I was still hoping to see maybe Brighton will, equalize and do a miracle. And yeah, that was what just happened in that game. And Brighton is just a team where you just have to be at your very best anytime you're playing against them, because they could expose you, and they could expose you dangerously.
And the remarkable thing is, City started this game very strongly, pegged Brighton back in their own half with very long span of that game, the first half especially. And all of a sudden, Brighton, towards the end of the first half, about 10 minutes into the first half, rose to it, started, grew into the game and started, fighting back. And second half started, they continued from it. I think it was in the first few minutes of the second half, got their first goal, got their second one, and opened City up countless times. In fact, if Brighton were clinical, they should have won that game, maybe 4-1. But again, football is interesting. Also, if City were clinical in the first half, Foden, even Erling Haaland as well, if they were clinical in the first half, when they had the upper hand in the game, they probably would have gone like 3 goals up in the first half. And that would have been a very different outcome or different game we're talking about right now. But that doesn't take away the fact that City are really struggling now. They have fundamental issues. I don't know, Victor, I don't know for you personally what you have identified as the main issue, or a few things that you think that are the issue with City that they have to look at, to get out of this. This is an unfamiliar terrain for Pep Guardiola, for the team, and for the players and their fans as well. Because a lot of City fans, obviously, were not there during the dark days of the club. They've only known, the good side, victory, winning games, and compressing teams to surrender. But this time around, a lot of teams are going toe-to-toe with City, and they are getting results.
Well, there's a huge difference between the City now and the City we usually know. Man City are scoring fewer goals, than last season. Last season they scored a lot of goals with the help of Erling Haaland, but now they're scoring really on an average level. And I've also figured out that Pep Guardiola has not been able to know how to set up his team without Rodri. Now you'd be expecting someone like Mateo Kovacic to fill in the shoes of the Ballon d'Or winner. But it's more than that, and City have not been able to find out a way to fill up in the absence of the Ballon d'Or winner Rodri. And City, more than ever, they look out of gas, mentally, more than anything right now. And Pep Guardiola is someone that we know him over the years, back-to-back titles, and we've known him as a person that's always demanded the absolute maximum out of the squad, extracting, at the very least of the ounce. We've seen Manchester City, come back from an 8-point lead in April to actually win the league. I think that was, the season where Arsenal were leading by 8 points. So far, I think Manchester City just have a squad issue. They have some players issues that they need to sort out. Kevin De Bruyne is back, but not fully fit enough. Rodri is still out, and Bernardo Silva is not delivering at his best of level. The guy they signed in the summer, Jeremy Doku, is out, but he's not even done anything so fantastic for City this season. Jack Grealish as well is also out, I think. Yeah, he's also out injured. So City have a little bit of a squad issue in their team so far, and that's why they are struggling to get results. And it's getting more interesting because
I think that's what I've been saying. I think City, Pep doesn't have the same quality of player that he has always had everywhere he has gone.
And the injuries have compounded it.
Exactly, and that's for sure. Before, I don't want to say injuries, because anybody that's using injury as excuse for Pep is not doing justice to other clubs, because other clubs have had this problem, and because City have not really had injury to key players, people feel that they have squad depth. They have depth in squad. So now it's their turn to have that problem that other teams have been having, and nobody was seeing that as an excuse. So he needs to find a way to figure it out. But for me, what is key, like you mentioned, is the quality of the player that they have. They have a lot of players, but these players have not been able to rise to the occasion the way it used to be before. When things like this happen, we see Pep come out and say some things, some strong things to the team, and the team react because they had that quality in their team. But right now, when Bernardo Silva, it's very exciting player, but you can see, like you mentioned, either physically or mentally, he's tired. And he wanted to go like 2 seasons ago. Pep stopped him from going. And Pep Guardiola is not a coach that resigns player that he has sold. Once he lets you go, he lets you go. For him to go and bring Gundogan back, that tells you what he thinks of the players that he has in his squad, and that transfer has not worked for City, if you ask me. So there is really a lot of stuff for him to think about, but most importantly for me, it's not just Rodri, it's the quality of player that he has in that team, both mentally and in terms of technical skills. They don't look like what he has had in the past, and unfortunately, he can't do nothing about it until next summer. And the players that have been brought in, like you mentioned, Doku, Nunes, Sevinho, these players, yeah, sometimes they look good in the eyes, but they don't have end product. They've not really been able to establish themselves. Even Grealish that you mentioned, Grealish has been in flashes. Foden, all the noise about Foden has not performed for City consistently. He always comes in patches, like most English players. He comes for 6 months and shines, scores every week. The next time, for 6 months, you'll be looking for him, won't find him. So that's how Foden has been. And this is why, in the beginning of his career, Pep never really trusted Foden. And I don't think he still trusts him. It's just that sometimes his hands are tied. He can't really do nothing but use the guy. He has the quality, but the consistency, I still don't believe that Foden is consistent enough to be the man for City, both now and in the future. I think he's a player that plays the way he feels. And Pep mentioned it one time that the problem he has with Foden is, as good as he is, that instinctive player. He doesn't play according to instruction or system. He plays with his mind, which is the reason why you see him take teams unawares, because he just goes with what he's seen around the pitch at that time. He doesn't consider what the system is about. And this sometimes can unbalance teams based on how a coach has set up his team. That's why he cannot be the main man for City. The next game was Liverpool. Yeah, I will not say I didn't expect Liverpool to win, but it was very easy. They didn't have to do too much to win Aston Villa 2-0. And this is my issue with Villa and Unai Emery. Sometimes, especially in the league, he doesn't really turn up. In cup games, so this Liverpool, this game, is it that Villa underperformed, or Liverpool, should they really be taken seriously? Is it the quality that Liverpool has and what Arne Slot has done for Liverpool that is getting them these results?
At the start of the season, one of the things I was looking out for is Liverpool. I was really looking out for them because, Jurgen Klopp is now gone. What's Arne Slot going to do? Is he going to transform Liverpool, or are they going to struggle? But so far, so good. 11 games played, and it's just 1 loss for Liverpool. But Liverpool have been superb. In fact, they've got a good result in their last 5 games in the Premier League, all wins. And it's really, really surprising because I never expected this from Liverpool himself. And in that particular game against Aston Villa, I feel like Liverpool were, a bit slow in the first half. But they came all guns blazing in the second half against Aston Villa. But Aston Villa themselves, they were also poor in that game. You normally expect Aston Villa to always always perform very well against big opponents. They've gotten good results. In fact, the rise of Aston Villa in the last 1-2 seasons because of the fact that of how they performed against big teams. And last season, they didn't just perform against big teams. They won a good number of their games, which propelled them into the Champions League. And even in the Champions League, they've gotten a good result against a big team like Bayern Munich, which I don't think a lot of persons expected. And you would expect Aston Villa to put up a good fight against Liverpool with the quality of players that they have, but it didn't just work out. And Liverpool, thanks to Mo Salah, it's just a very impressive performance. You know, Mo Salah is now has about 10 goals and as many assists in all
10 goals, 10
competitions this
assists, 10
season.
assists.
10 assists.
Oh no, 5
And we
10 assists, in 5
and
games.
we haven't even reached mid November yet. And I don't think there's any other player across Euro's 5 leagues, who has that double figures in both categories.
And interestingly, Liverpool are also top of the Champions League in Europe. They are top 12 points, 12 maximum points.
Oh, wow.
They won 4 of all 4 games this season, so they're topping the Champions League group stage as well. So it's not a fluke. It looks like whatever an slot. My only fear for Liverpool is they've not suffered what other teams have suffered this season, which is injury to key players or that patch of form. All their key players have been fit. They've not been forced to change their lineup. So, like we're talking about City, I don't know how they're going to react if they have the depth in squad to, for players to come in and do what some of their key players like Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Trent Arnold is out now on hamstring. Let's see how long that's going to stay, how they're going to cope with that. And of course, in the middle, you have Kevin Birch and doing bits for them in the midfield right there. Exactly. So we'll see. It's not a prayer, but these things happen in football, like you always say, it's a long season, and we'll see how Liverpool is going to react. But I believe that Mo Salah is very, very key to what Liverpool is. They have to find a way to keep him fit and have him on form and, get him focused. Unfortunately, in the last season of his contract, I don't know what they're going to do. He had a very, very tempting offer from Saudi Arabia last summer ago. So I know they're going to come back this summer. And now he's free. He can negotiate in his own time. So it's going to be a very dicey one for Liverpool. And we'll only wait and see how they're going to, cope with that one.